Well, hey all. Sorry we didn't get a chance to do a phone call today. I have to take a phone call actually at 2 o'clock to speak with some folks about a program review report that I put together that's with an external reviewer, and so had to get that in for a committee to look over. So we had to have that take the place of our time together. So I'm doing a video, and hopefully that will be an okay replacement for you to check out. So. If you look at your syllabus, you can see that there are a number of things. We are on unit, unit 6. So we have unit 6, we have unit 7, and then we have unit 8, and then you have unit 9, which is really just a 1-week time frame for you to kind of hammer out your final projects. So we've still got plenty of time left in the term, about 4.5 weeks or so. But it's coming quick, so crazy to think, and so you're all getting caught up. If you're behind, if you're not, great. But still quite a bit to do. So if you look at the syllabus, you'll see that this unit, so starting what was Monday of this week, we have Anderson and Van Heat chapter 10 and 11. We'll look at Liptak chapter 6. And then there's the unit 6 forum discussion, at least your contributions, and then you do have case study number 8. So if you look into the forums, you'll see that the case studies are now up to date. For whatever reason, when we transfer one class to the next, I always think that it's going to update it automatically, and I have to go in there and manually change it. So I appreciate you catching that and bringing it to my attention. So it's all good now. It's all updated. And you'll see that you have case study number 8 and 9 that are good to go. You have all the information you need, and now it's just a matter of providing your responses to that. Okay. So this is, we're kind of moving into the latter part as we get into this unit. We're looking at testing, assessment, career counseling, managing career information and technology. Then we're looking at self and world of work assessment. So a couple of things about this, the technology component, which I think is a really important aspect. So you look at Unit 6, and it's titled Assessment and Career Counseling and Managing Career IT. So here's the thing that we look at, and this is actually one of the from what I've been told, I haven't taken the LPCC licensure exams myself, but I have been told that what you're looking at here in these weeks is a pretty integral component to some of the questions that are on those licensure exams as you consider what role technology plays with respect to career counseling. So here's the interesting thing. Obviously, when you become a licensed marriage and family therapist within the state of California, the standards, the requirements, I guess you could say, for licensure as an MFT in the state of California are I guess it's fair to say they're very steep, right? There are significant requirements. While each state has different requirements, you are probably going to be best equipped to go from California to another state. So I remember years ago I was working with a couple, and the husband was looking to come to seminary, and the wife, they were moving from New York City, or from the state of New York, I should say. I don't remember if it was the actual city itself. But they were looking to move from New York, and the wife was a marriage and family therapist in the state of New York. So New York has some pretty stringent requirements for licensure, not the same, not identical to that of California, but still they're pretty significant. And so we're talking, and she's talking about what she does for work, and he's talking about why he wants to come to seminary and why they're considering the university here and so forth. And she point blank said, if we move out here, I'm not going to try and transfer my license to come from the state of New York, which again has pretty high standards and requirements for licensure, to the state of California. And I said, why not? And at this point, I'm working with theology, so I'm not necessarily fully understanding the grad psych world. And she says because it's not impossible, but it's near, it's unreasonable as far as the requirements, she said, that would need to take place to come from out of state into California to become licensed. You know that, which a lot of times I think there's reason why folks would come to get licensed to California so they can go elsewhere, right? So one of the benefits that comes with the LPCC licensure, which of course is why, at least one of the reasons why you're taking this class, maybe the main reason to start, now that you've kind of gotten to the content, maybe it's still a main first reason, primary reason, but probably other reasons are creeping close to primary as well, as you're enjoying the content and so forth. One of the great things about the LPC is it allows you more leeway to work between states. To be a career counselor, there's no sort of, I guess you could say, license, if you will, that you would need to complete to be able to practice this sort of work. So I have the designation of Master Career Specialist, and that's bestowed upon me through the National Career Development Association. Okay, so I have there's a minimum requirement. I far surpassed the minimum, but I have a minimum requirement that has to be met. Years of service, time spent in this field, education, and so forth, where you would get that work. I am strongly considering pursuing what they call a Global Career Development Facilitator, a GCDF for short. And then that would just give me some additional credibility. That's a credential offered through the Center for Credentialing and Education out of Greensboro, North Carolina. And sponsored and supported in some significant ways, again, through the National Career Development Association. And I have a number of other, certification program completions and so forth, and different assessment tools and all of that. All that to say, as a career counselor, given that there's no specific governing body where you have like the BBS in California or so forth in other states that grant licensure, if you want to be able to say that you are a licensed counselor, obviously the LPCC, that does allow you to do some cross-state work. So if you wanted to, let's say, leave from California to go to Arizona, you could much more easily operate as an LPCC, as I'm sure you know, in Arizona, than you could if you were to go from California as an LMFT to Arizona to be an LMFT. Is it impossible? No. But there's going to be there's more of a reciprocal, I guess you could say, relationship between states with the LPC than there is with the MFT. I don't know what the requirements are for telecounseling, but this week we're going to look at some ideas with respect to career counseling in using the obviously online resources. We'll talk about some kind of distance counseling, telecounseling, and things of that nature. Some of the questions that you'll look at in the forum have to do with the role of face-to-face versus that of distance-based. So some of the questions we're looking at cyber counseling. So why does a career counselor have to offer, or I'm sure say, what does a career counselor have to offer in regard to career assessment, interpretation, and feedback? How does this differ from that of online career assessments? Just because tests can be administered online, should they be? When are canned computer-based interpretations appropriate or inappropriate? So we look at this from an ethical standpoint and so forth. So then there's some additional questions that come down to if you're interested in the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, an unofficial response. There's an online assessment tool that can give you some very accurate results, though they're not fully accurate. The thing about it is that we look at, there's all these questions that come with cyber counseling and so forth. The difference between you and I sitting face-to-face, or even you and I, having this conversation via, let's say you're in New Orleans and I'm here in California. I'm going to administer the assessment. I'm going to interpret the assessment. We're going to have a conversation. We'll have a chat about what that means for you. What questions do you have? How can we go deeper? How can we dig deeper? What do we need to discuss more? And then you have these other assessments, like you can go to Humanetrics. You can take an unofficial MBTI. You can take an unofficial strong interest inventory. You can take unofficial assessments. And then it kind of just ends there. So you can go online, you can search for results. But so the question that I'm looking at is, what's the benefit? What's the difference between face-to-face, live, maybe not even live in person, but live like we are right here, or we are when we do a Google Hangout, versus that of just kind of utilizing the resources available to you online and so forth. There's a couple things in here you may want to listen to and check out. So there's the webinar that CPP.com hosted a number of years ago, and it's combining the strong interest inventory and the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, and looking at those two things together as a resource in career counseling. So I actually just finished a training program through a different organization that was founded by the woman who gives the webinar, Judy Grutter. She recently passed away in the last couple of years. And it was a training that she offers through her current still open organization called GS Consultants. And so I went through some additional training looking at how do you use MBTI and strong interest inventory in tandem to work with clients when you're doing career counseling. Then, I don't know if you've seen it before, but if you haven't, it is an excellent talk by Susan Cain. She has written a book called Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, and she does a phenomenal job on giving a TED Talk on introverts. So that's where she comes from, and she recounts some personal stories. She is humorous, and she talks just about one sort of personality type, and that being that of an introvert, where she can best resonate and understand that, because that is the descriptor of how she would see herself, and others would, of course, and so would the assessment results that she's received, see herself as well as an introverted individual. And introverted, I would say, leader, which so often people think you can't be those together. Those are separate. You can't be a leader if you're introverted, which of course is not true at all. So again, keep in mind that as we look at these chapters, both 10 and 11 in the Anderson and Van Vanderhee text, this is some really important content that you will need to make sure that you're aware of when it comes to testing for the LPC-C licensure. Okay, so that is coming here probably, well, whenever you take it, of course, but potentially sooner perhaps than you might even realize that it's coming. So there's that for you. And again, you'll do your case study number 8, and there is no LipTAC 321 this week. Other thing to keep in mind is by the end of this unit, which again we have until April 2nd, so we're looking all the way until a week from this Sunday, okay, so April 2nd at midnight, your response paper for the vocation and calling response paper is due, okay? So if you have questions about that, please let me know. I will be posting a video here shortly in the assignments section. Some of the content, it may be a little bit dated because I think I recorded a while ago. If it's too dated, I'll do a new one. But it will talk to you about some of the expectations and things I'm looking for in your response paper that's coming up here due at the end of this unit. Okay, so check out that. It's in Sakai. It's in the assignment section. And remember, it's due midnight by April 2nd, okay? So yeah, there's a video in here. You can watch that. It gives you more specifics. And then if you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact me. The other thing that you'll need to keep in mind with regard to this paper is there is a rubric, okay? So I want you to look in the syllabus, and you will notice that there is a grading rubric that you will have to actually include in the paper itself. So if you go into the assignment section, you will see not only a video, but you'll see an assignment, and there's a vocation and calling paper description link that you click on, and it gives you a downloadable Word document. And in there you have the description, and in addition to the description, you have the grading rubric. And I put that as a Word doc so that you can copy and paste that. It's an actual Word document. Copy and paste the Word doc version of just the rubric itself, and put the rubric then into your final paper result at the end of the paper, and then you'll see there's a section where you can say, these are the points available, and then you're going to give yourself a score, okay? If you don't include the rubric in your syllabus or you don't give yourself a score, that'll be an automatic deduction of 1 full point, okay? So, and I'll talk more about this in the coming days and weeks ahead as we get some more videos up here. But please remember that you have paper due at the end of this unit, and you have to include the grading rubric when you're with your own self-score, okay? Please, 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 please pay close attention to what is written in the course description so that you don't leave anything out and you include all that's required of you, okay? And again, I'll talk more about that, but really important that you pay attention to those details and include the grading rubric at the end of your paper, all right? So this is one of my favorite weeks. I think the content that we're exploring is really important. It's really valuable. It's really fun to read about. And we are definitely on the downhill slope. Next week we get into the different stages of career development, and those are some really fun chapters to look at as well. So again, remember, Unit 6 forum discussion, case study number 8, and then your vocation and calling response paper is due by the end of this unit. All right. Have a great unit, and if I can help in any way, please, 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 please let me know, and I will be quick to get back to you as soon as I can. All right. Have a great week. See you soon.